Who are you? How did you enter here?
Don't worry, it is fine. I am the answer to your problems. I will make you immortal.
There is a legend in the old lands, one that griots still whisper around dying fires when the night grows heavy and the children have gone to sleep. It is the story of a king who had everything, a kingdom that stretched beyond where the eye could see, warriors who had never once tasted defeat, a people who did not merely respect him, they called him Father. They called him the mountain that does not move. And yet, it was not enough. This is the story of Chief Tariku of Kasa, the man who looked at an entire empire built with his own hands, watered with his own blood, and still felt the hunger gnawing at him. The man who made a deal that would shake the very bones of the earth. And the twist at the end of his story, nobody saw it coming. Neither did he. If legendary stories of power, betrayal, sacrifice, and ancient justice are what you live for, you are in exactly the right place. Hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell right now, because this story has layers and twists that will stay with you long after this video ends. We are just getting started. Do not go anywhere. To understand what Tariku lost, you must first understand what he had. The empire of Kasa sat at the crossroads of three great trade routes. Gold moved through it from the southern mines, salt moved through it from the northern flats, knowledge moved through it, scrolls, scholars, astronomers, healers, drawn to Kasa the way rivers are drawn to the sea. For 200 years, the chiefs of Kasa had built something extraordinary, something that no army had toppled, no drought had broken, no plague had hollowed out, a civilization. And Chief Tariku was its greatest ruler. He was 6 feet and 4 inches of pure command. His voice could silence a hall of 1,000 warriors with a single word. His judgment in battle was so precise that opposing generals would sometimes simply lay down their weapons and ask to serve him instead. When foreign kings sent emissaries to Kasa, those emissaries returned home shaking, not from fear, but from awe. His people loved him the way you love a father who has never once let you down. In 40 years on the throne, Tariku had never lost a battle, never broken a treaty, never sacrificed a single village for his own comfort. He was, by every measure that matters, a great man. But greatness, it turns out, can be a prison of its own kind. Because Tariku had spent 40 years being the tallest tree in the forest, and tall trees feel the wind differently from the rest. In the 40th year of his reign, the empire of Dara appeared in the east. Not overnight, nothing truly dangerous ever does. It crept, first as rumor, then as reports from scouts, then as the undeniable reality of a rival power growing faster, hungrier, and louder than anything Kasa had ever faced. Dara was young, armed with iron weapons forged in styles Kasa's blacksmiths had never seen before, and Dara's chief, Seko, barely 30 years old, had a gift for something Tariku had never needed to worry about before: perception. Seko understood that you do not have to defeat a legend on the battlefield to destroy it. You simply have to make people believe the legend is fading. And so, in the 40th year of Tariku's reign, Seko sent him a message delivered by a single unarmed messenger who walked straight through Kasa's gates without an escort and placed a sealed scroll directly into the king's hands. "We do not come for your land, old king. We do not come for your gold or your warriors or your walls. We come only for your legacy. And when we are done, history will forget that the empire of Kasa ever existed. History will forget your name." Tariku read that message 3 times. Then he dismissed every advisor, every guard, every servant from the room. And he did something no one in his 40-year reign had ever witnessed. He wept. Not from sadness, from rage, and beneath the rage, something older, quieter, and far more dangerous: fear. The fear that after 40 years of building something magnificent, one young, loud and ambitious rival could simply erase it. That legacy, the only true immortality available to any human being, was fragile, dependent not on what you did, but on who told the story afterwards. It was in that moment, that precise, vulnerable, unguarded moment, that every drum in the city stopped simultaneously. Silence like a held breath, and a visitor arrived who was not announced.
She was ancient. That much was immediately, undeniably clear. But ancient in a way that had nothing to do with how she looked. Her face could have belonged to a woman of 50, but her eyes held something with no age at all, deep and still, like water at the bottom of a well so old the villagers had forgotten it existed. Her robes were woven from something that moved like smoke, even when she stood perfectly still. And around her neck hung a necklace of small carved bones, each one marked with tiny, precise letters, the names of kings. Tariku, hand on his sword. Who are you? How did you enter? The visitor, completely calm. Your guards are fine, Tariku. They simply did not see me. I enter where I am needed. I have a talent for it. Sit down, Chief. Standing makes men feel braver than they need to be for this conversation. In 40 years, no one had told Tariku of Kasa to sit down. He sat. My name is Mama Wura. Some call me Mother of Gold. What I am called does not matter. I have watched you for 40 years, your first battle, burying your father, the Treaty of the Three Rivers. I watched you build every stone of this palace. She leaned forward, and I watched you weep tonight for the first time in 4 decades. She placed something on the table between them, a small mirror, no larger than a palm. Its surface was perfectly black, not reflecting, just absorbing. Look into it. Tell me what you see. Tariku looked, and in that black mirror, he saw Kasa, his Kasa, 100 years from now, crumbling, overgrown, the trade routes silent, and where his name should have been inscribed above the great gate, smooth stone, blank, as if no one had ever ruled there at all. Tariku, barely controlled. What is this? One possible future, the most likely one given what is growing in the east. But I can show you another. She pulled the mirror back. I can make the empire of Dara bow before you within 1 year. I can make your name immortal, not for a century, not for 5, but spoken, genuinely spoken, 1,000 years from today in lands you have never heard of. And the price? Without hesitation. 3 things. Your firstborn son will never sit on this throne. He will live and thrive, but not here. Second, the loyalty of your most trusted general. Not his life, just his bond to you specifically. He will serve Kasa still, but the brotherhood between you ends. She paused. And third, on the night of your greatest victory, your shadow. Tariku stared at her. A shadow. Of all the things she could have asked for, what was a shadow to a king? He reached across the table. He shook her hand. He should have asked what a shadow was to her. The change began the very next morning, not with thunderclaps, quietly, the way all truly significant shifts do. Tariku woke with a clarity he had not felt in years, a certainty, as if the fog of doubt that had been thickening around him for decades had simply lifted overnight. Within 2 months, he had secured trade agreements with 4 of the 6 kingdoms Seko had allied with, not by force, but by offering better terms and the stability that only a 200-year empire could guarantee. Within 4 months, Dara's supply vines went mysteriously quiet. Caravans that should have arrived did not. Routes that had been reliable for years became impassable for reasons no one could explain, as if the land itself was turning against them. Within 6 months, 3 of Dara's border provinces surrendered without a fight, their general struck by a fever that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as inexplicably. Seko was not a foolish man. He felt something was wrong, the way you feel a change in the weather before a single cloud appears. His inner circle was fracturing. His allies were sending hedging, non-committal messages. And then, in the 9th month, the deepest blow. 6 of Seko's original 7 council members sent a joint message to Tariku of Kassa, offering to broker a peaceful surrender in exchange for honorable terms. They did not warn Seko first. In the 10th month, Seko fled his own capital. In the 11th month, he was found sheltering in a fishing village wearing the clothes of a common man. He was brought to Kassa in a covered cart. He knelt, not because he was forced. The chains were ceremonial. He knelt because there was nothing else left to do. Seko, stripped of everything, said, "I underestimated you, Tariku of Kassa." Tariku, with no triumph, just wait, said, "No, you underestimated what it costs to erase something built with love." The crowd erupted. Drums, songs, the greatest celebration in Kassa's history. The griots composed 14 new songs before sunrise. Tariku's name, the name Seko had promised to erase, rang from every rooftop, every fire, every mouth in the empire. And at the absolute peak of it, surrounded by 10,000 people who loved him, Tariku looked down at the floor beneath his feet. Every touch cast shadows, every flame, every man in that vast hall had a shadow at his feet. Every man, except one. He stood there for a long time. Then he went back inside. He sat on his throne. He watched his people celebrate. He watched the griots sing. He watched children dance on warriors' shoulders. And something was wrong. He could see all of it. He simply could not feel any of it. In the deep tradition of the Kassa people, older than the empire itself, the shadow was the sole anchor, the thread that tied your living spirit to the world of the living, the thing that kept you present, connected, here, not just physically, but in every way that mattered. Without it, you could not truly die. Your body would continue, your name would persist, but you could not truly live. He could not feel warmth, could not taste food, could not hear music the way a living person hears it, in the chest, in the blood. Everything reached him at a remove, like hearing voices through a closed door. He was immortal, the greatest chief who had ever lived, and he was already, in every way that mattered, gone. Later, the celebration winding down, General Kofi finds Tariku alone in the empty throne room. "My king, we won everything. Everything you built is safe, eternal. Why do you look like a man standing at his own grave?" Tariku turned to him. At this man he had known 30 years, who had saved his life twice in battle, who had stood beside him at his father's burial and not said a word, because sometimes that is what friendship is. He waited to feel something, affection, gratitude, brotherhood. He waited. "Tariku, barely a sound. Because I am." Kofi stood up slowly, the way you move away from something when you suddenly realize you no longer recognize it. Kofi at the doorway, not turning back. "I will always serve Kassa, my king." A pause. "Kofi, but I don't think I know you anymore." He left, and Tariku sat alone on the greatest throne in the known world, with everything, feeling nothing. Tariku did not accept this quietly. He was not built for that. He sent messengers to every spiritual elder, every ancient healer in the empire, described the deal, the shadow, the emptiness, asked if it could be undone. One by one they came. One by one they left, shaking their heads. The elder healer gently. What you describe, the soul anchor severed while the body lives. There is no ceremony for this, no herb, no prayer. What was given freely cannot be taken back by force. It can only be returned by the one who received it. Tariku knew what that meant. He called for Mama Wura. He sat in his chamber, the same one where she had first appeared, and he waited for 3 nights. On the 3rd night, she came. On her necklace of carved bones, a new one, the newest, carved with a single name, Tariku. Give it back. I'll give you everything, the conquest, the immortality. Let history forget me. Let Seko's name be the one that lasts. Just give me back what I can feel. Give me back the warmth, my son's future here. Give me back Kofi. Mama Wura was quiet. When she spoke, her voice held something unusual, genuine regret. You are not the first king to stand here and make this offer. You will not be the last, and I will tell you what I told all of them. She stepped closer. I did not take your shadow, Tariku. You gave it. Not because of me, not because of the deal or the mirror or anything I promised. You gave it the moment you decided that being forgotten was worse than being present, that legacy mattered more than living. I simply arrived when you had already made the trade in your heart. I only gave you the transaction to match the decision. Something shifting in Tariku's face. Beneath the emptiness, the memory of feeling, Mama Wura turning to leave. The shadow cannot be returned, but the warmth can be rebuilt. Slowly, imperfectly, the way all things worth having are built. She stopped. Go to your son. Tell him the truth. Go to Kofi. Tell him the truth. Stop ruling your empire and start living inside it. The shadow is gone. That is permanent. But the emptiness, that is a choice you make every morning. She walked into the dark hallway. Tariku never saw her again.
Chief Tariku of Kasa is remembered today exactly as Mama Wura promised. 1,000 years later, his name is still in the old songs. His story still told around fires in the old lands. But listen carefully to those songs if you ever hear them, because the griots put something into them that is easy to miss. A quiet note beneath the triumph and the legend. The sound of a great man standing at the peak of everything he built, choosing slowly and imperfectly and with great difficulty to come back. Not to undo what was done. You cannot undo what is done, but to be present inside the life that remained. Do not wait for Mama Wura to visit you. She does not always wear smoke-woven robes. Sometimes she looks like a promotion, sometimes a shortcut, sometimes the opportunity that requires you to quietly set down the thing that makes you you. She will always make it sound reasonable. Ask the question Tariku forgot to ask. What does this cost? Not in gold, not in strategy, but in presence, in warmth, in the ability to actually feel the life I am living. If the answer makes you pause, pause for longer. Thank you for staying with this story all the way through. If it moved you, share it. You already know who needs to hear it. New legends, ancient wisdom, stories with real weight that actually stick. Subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and I will see you in the next one. Last thing, one sincere question. Drop your answer in the comments. What is one thing that is right in front of you right now that you might be taking for granted because you are too focused on something that hasn't happened yet? Write it down. Sometimes just naming it out loud is enough. I'll be reading every single one.